What's going on, Falcon Fan? This is Kondo coming back at you with another video. Today, we're going to have a Falcon Fan Talk Monday. Talk about the impact Kirk Cousins has on the Atlanta Falcons this upcoming season and in the future. Then we're also going to talk about some potential free agents that still could be signed by the Atlanta Falcons. They still have one roster spot. We're definitely going to get into that today. And guys, of course, we're going to talk about some NFL news that we heard from Atlanta Falcons about the training camp. And I have not commented on Adi Okendeji releasing as of yet as well. So we're definitely going to talk about that. So guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to this channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. Guys, we are almost getting to the dead time of the off season. Of course, Atlanta Falcon had a couple more OTA practice. They got a mandatory mini camp going. Then because they go away about 4 weeks before they get back for a training camp. So all that's going to be exciting. Oh, Smith. There we go. All that's going to be exciting, guys. Can't wait to really talk about that. What's going on, Austin? How you doing today? So, right, guys. So basically, today we're going to get into, like I said, some quick Atlanta Falcon news. Talk about training camp. What we heard about that with the reconstruction going down in Flowery Branch for the 2024 off season. Also, we're going to talk about Ade Okendeji. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into that today. All right. So, like I said, Falcon news today. It's reported today by the Atlanta Falcon organization that the business that we have at Flowery Branch for training camp every summer is not going to be able to take place this off season, which is kind of sad. I usually try to make it to 3 of those open practices that the Atlanta Falcons have, just to get an idea, look at the team. That's how we kind of get our updates and see how the team look. Especially, with this team, got a new coaching staff and things like that. I definitely want to get out there to see. However, they are having 2 practices. They will not be at Flowery Branch, but the first practice will take place on July the 27th at second Geener High School in Beaufort on Saturday 27th as part of NFL training comes back together weekend. Now, the last time the Falcons actually practiced at the high school was back in 2016 when they practiced at Grayson High School. So it's been a while since the Atlanta Falcons actually had that. They used to do that all the time. They go to the high school and practice there. So this will be my first experience doing that. Try to make it to that one because since it's the only 2, so definitely going to try to make it to that practice on the 27th of July in Beaufort. So I can't wait, to get more information about that, the time and things like that. And then the second practice they have, what they usually have, once a year at least. It's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's going to be on August 2nd, on that Friday. Of course, they're going to have tickets for that like they always do. So both of those practices going to be open to the public. Those are the only practices open to the public this year. It'll be interesting to see, once reconstruction is done next season, 2025, what kind of things they have for the fans out there. Because usually, we all sitting on that hill. Last year I sat in the top of the hill, kind of stay out that shade because that little shade at the back. If you guys know what I'm talking about, if you go out to Flowery Branch and watch their training camp practices, it gets kind of hot out there. They have the early morning practices. Try to keep the sun out because in August in Georgia, we know how hot it can get. So, but we won't be able to see that this year. But we will be able to attend 2 practices. Usually the Falcons have about 8 or 9 open practices. But this year they're going to have the 2. One at the high school in Beaufort, then the other one's going to be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So, if you definitely look interested in, going out to see what the team look like, try to make it to one of those 2 practices. We have two preseason games away this year and 1 at home because the Atlanta Falcons, since it's an odd number of games, the Atlanta Falcons actually have 9 regular season home games this year. So 2 of their preseason games going to be on the road, and one's going to be at home. So we're only going to be able to see them one time in the stadium, before the season starts for preseason. But we do get, 9 home games, so that's something to be looked forward to. But before we get out there to see the team, you'll probably get those 2 chances. So on July the 27th at Saginaw High School and Beaufort, Georgia, and then the other one is at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium on August the 2nd. There you have it, guys, with the training camp news. Can't wait next year to see what it's like. Hopefully, the Atlanta Falcons be coming off a outstanding season, and we even have more excitement going into 2025. Dare I say, maybe even celebrating the Super Bowl. What's going on, April? How you doing today? The other news, guys, I definitely want to talk about. I have not got a chance to talk about this, and it happened last Thursday, so I haven't been back on since Thursday. But I definitely really wanted to talk about the Atlanta Falcons release their outside linebacker, Ade Okundeji. Actually, it was a guy that I had, signaled that could be released, start of the new league year, when I thought the Atlanta Falcons was definitely going to try to open up some cap space. Releasing Ade Okundeji really gives them about $3.5 million in cap space this season. Okundeji came out, had a lot of potential. It's interesting. Raheem Morris talk about guys with length. Ade Okundeji is a guy that has that length. First season, played majority of the snaps that he had in the first season. We know how that season was. A lot of young guys playing. Atlanta Falcons was really trying to, to rely on the rookies that they had brought into. He had flashes. Remember, he blocked the field goal in the Miami Dolphin game. So Ade Okundeji looked like he had a bright future here. Coming into his second season, though, kind of fell off a little bit. And then kind of got to fill out of rotations a lot in that second season. Coming into his third season, we all know what happened. He actually got put on the IR for the whole season. So, new coaching staff coming in, not really having a chance to see what Ade Okundeji was able to do on tape. Probably looked at his first year's film, compared to his second year film, and then looking at the third year where, like I said, he was not able to get on the field because of the injury reserve. So, and then they brought in, Braylon Trice. They brought in the young guy, the Commanders as well. We got Armor Ebiketie. They decided to keep Lorenzo Carter. So just looking at the numbers, because we talked about this, just looking at the numbers, somebody was going to be an outside looking in. And I guess Ade Okundeji just fell out of favor with the new coaching staff. But good luck to him. Hopefully he have an opportunity to, pick up with another team. Definitely, I think he has some talent there, but just couldn't fit with this team. And that's what happens, before training camp even start, he won't even get a chance to show what he's able to do. But that's just how it is, guys. That's the nature of the beast. One thing to note, though, if you're looking at that first draft by Terry Fontenot, now you're looking at some of the guys that have been released. Now you starting to, and that's what you mean by you taking a look at draft classes, right? Because when you first take a draft class, right, you try to kind of gauge and see how it's going to look. Sometimes you're looking 3 to 4 years down the road. You kind of say you had a lot of misses in that draft class. So we know what about Jalen Mayfield, guy who's no longer on the team, right? Cornerback that we drafted was no longer on the team. Wide receiver that we drafted no longer on the team. Ade Okundeji no longer on the team. Kyle Pitts is still here, but you're looking at now. You see how the attrition of sometimes draft picks that you pick. You don't know how the draft class is going to turn out, but 3 to 4 years later, now it's looking like that first draft class by Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot was not a really good draft class. Depending on now, these guys pick up with another team and and have a good career or whatsoever. Like I said, sometimes they don't fit with the team, but as of right now, looking at that first year draft class by Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith, So a lot of guys have been released from the team. So that speaks a lot about you can't judge a draft class right off the bat. But looking at it now if Kyle Pitts turned out to be what we all expect him to be, nobody won't remember about all the other misses that we had in that draft class. But you got Frank Darby, Jalen Mayfield, Ade Okundeji, all those guys were picked in that draft class, and now they're no longer with the team. So, and some of those guys not even in the NFL anymore. So you gotta just realize sometimes it's a hit or misses when it comes to draft classes, and that first draft class for Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith is not looking that good right now. Let's just hope that Kyle Pitts turn out to be what we think Kyle Pitts can be. So, but that's the story out of Okundeji. Good luck to him. You know, maybe could fit if we went so deep. In some areas. I know some people saying we still need pass rush. We're definitely going to talk about that today with some potential free agents that's still out there that Atlanta Falcons could bring in. But at the end of the day, sometimes some guys just don't fit with teams, and when you bring in new coaching staff, these guys want their own people, right? So you don't know how Raheem Morris and his team graded Ade Okundeji, coming out of the draft. They have a high grade on him, and looking on film, especially if you miss a whole year last year, that's just how it happens, right? Wallace says, "What's good, Ricondo? I agree with you. They signed Bradley out, Bradley and Nye. They probably got him out. Yep, that's a great point. I forgot about Bradley and Nye, a guy that maybe fit what Raheem Morris want to do better, right? That's what I'm talking about. They bringing in their own guys, right? And that's what happens in any sport, not just football. A lot of times, when new coaches come in, they want a guy that they feel fit what they want to do, their strategy, their system and things like that, how they like to see a type of body of guy. Now, interesting, like I said, Ade Okundeji does have the length that Raheem Morris liked, but for some reason they did not like what they seen on film. So Wallace also says, and that's why they say take 3 to 4 years to know if you had a good draft class. Yes. So the crazy thing about it is, when they get out these draft grades, like right after the draft, like it's bogus, right? Because you never know how these classes going to turn out, right? But now looking at it, it doesn't look like a good draft class at all, right? So, Terry Fontenot does a great job free agency. He does. Like he has not missed on free agents for the most part. Most free agents that he brings in, even the lower tier free agents that he has brought into his organization, has really panned out to work well. But when it comes to drafting, right, we need to see. Now, I mean, you're looking at draft class. We've got Troy Anderson, you got Armor Ebiketie, right? Those guys need to D'Angelo Malone. We need to see these guys start to take some kind of turn as well. Taquan Graham, right? Those guys need to start turning the corner, right, and see what they're going to be able to do. Because if those guys don't turn around, it just be another example. Richie Grant, another guy. So you start to see where you can draft classes 2 or 3 years down the road. But hopefully, you look at guys that we just hope, like Matthew Bergeron, right? You got like Matthew Bergeron. Look like he's going to be a good draftee, right? Armor Ebiketie, this is his year. This is the year for him to see what he can do. D'Angelo Malone just not had the opportunity, and hopefully he gets the opportunity this offseason to prove himself, to see what he's able to do, right? But Troy Anderson unfortunately got hurt last season, so we want to see. We know his ceiling is high, so I don't think that Troy Anderson is going to be bust or whatever. But as of right now, right, we don't know. The jury's still out on all those guys. Now their first round picks look like they've been hitting on those, so like they haven't missed on the first round pick for the most part. But you go looking, especially day 2 picks, right now it's looking like these draft classes need to start picking up a little bit. You're not going to be 100% on your draftees, but as of right now, you got to start looking and do a little squint and be like, I don't know. So just want to put that out there. Also, I think Terry Smith and Pace did a great job finding free agents, player to bring in. They did, man. I mean, especially with the money they had, they did an outstanding job bringing in free agents. I mean, some of the undrafted guys that they brought in, just to say the least, guys like D'Alford, guy like Nate Landman, right? Um, those guys really were doing really well. So they've been doing great jobs of finding guys that they didn't draft to really pan out to be contributors to this team. But we got to see some other guys, right? So you know, we know we always say about draft picks, they hit or miss. So sometimes you're gonna hit on some, sometimes you're gonna not. But you want majority of your draft class to be good. So I'm gonna get on my soapbox about the draft class, but in reality, guys, that first year's draft class is not good. Looking at it right now, just looking at Kyle Pitts end up being an All Pro. Going on and having a Hall of Fame career, all to be forgotten, right? But as of right now, that draft class um, for Terry Fontenot is not that good. So, and that's just being honest about it. All right, all right. So guys, we get to the meat and table. What I really want to talk about today, and I want to talk about Kirk Cousins, right? Because all the talk about Michael Penix and things like that, and you guys, I came out here and I talked about, Kirk Cousins played well, doesn't matter because that's going to be what it's all about in the first season anyway. The way we play as a team, winning cures all, right? But what I really want to talk about, Kirk Cousins coming in, and just listen to some of his interviews, listen to some of his teammates talk about him as a leader, being a veteran coming into this team, the impact that he can have with this team, especially these young guys that's on this team this this early in their career, right? The impact that he can have on them. The Atlanta Falcons teasing us so much, right? When they put out these little clips. The other last week they put out a clip of Drake London sky in the air catching a pass from Kirk Cousins. The day they put out a clip with Kyle Pitts, Kirk Cousins throwing it down the hill on a deep pass. So that's be honest with you guys, we haven't seen that a lot in the last couple of years. These guys getting hit, you know, so they actually go up and get the ball, and you like to see that, right? And you like to just things that we can wait and anticipate to see coming down the future here, with this season coming up. But you know, just having Kirk Cousins here, I just really want to talk about his impact and what he's going to be able to do for this team in 2024, and even in the future to help a young guy like Michael Penix. Even if if and when Michael Penix ever get into the game, right? But the first thing I want to talk about Kirk Cousins is the fact that he brings stability and he brings legitimacy to this team. This just really boils down to he brings stability and legitimacy, right? And what I mean by legitimacy, right? You just look at how many the analysts out there and national media already picking Atlanta Falcons in NFC South. They're looking to make the playoff, things like that. And it's only for one reason, right? It's because we have a quarterback, right? We have a Kirk Cousins on the team, right? So he brings legitimacy to this team. That's the first part about it. When you put it on your back and you look at some of the things Kirk Cousins have been able to do in his career. I mean, he's played in this league 12 years, right? His completion percentage is almost 67% for his career. His quarterback rating is almost 99% for his career. He has never thrown more than 14 interceptions in the season, right? He only did that one season. So just legitimacy, a guy who has thrown over 4,000 yards multiple times, have threw over 25 touchdowns multiple times. So what he brings to the team right off the back is the stability at the position, right? and legitimacy. This just that simple when you think about it. It's the first thing Kirk Cousins is going to bring to this team, and you can like I mentioned earlier, you can hear it from his teammates, right? Um, B. John Robinson saying he tell you exactly where you want to go. You hear Darnell Mooney said, if you come out your route, come out your route in the right point, you don't have to worry about the ball. It's going to be there, right? Right. So they got to get that timing down. You heard Kirk Cousins talking about understanding where they like the ball at and things like that. He talks about he want to make his guys shine, right? That's already talking about not what he can do, how he can make his teammates be better, right? Um, how they just so in tune to what he's talking about because he have that experience, right? So bringing that legitimacy to this position, guys believe in what he's saying, right? When he get in the huddles, the confidence that these guys already talented. We know how talented they are, but just having him in the huddle. And the last time this organization had that, of course, was with Matty Ice, right? And we saw what Kyle Pitts was able to do with Matty Ice. That was his first season as a rookie. You know, don't know anything, coming in and just playing football. And he had a quarterback that was able to give him the ball, right? And people forget, right? Only the second tight end in NFL history to go over 1,000 yards his rookie season, and that was Kyle Pitts, right? So just having that legitimacy, that stability back at the quarterback position, is 100% is the first impact that Kirk Cousins is going to bring to this team. It already is going to bring, you know, a little scare tactic, for our opponents as well, because now they know they got to worry about the passing game and the running game, right? You probably the past seasons, you know, teams come there and say we just need to stop the run, right? Look at the Detroit Lions game last year, and they pretty much put 8 in the box because they felt like we could not pass the ball, and they knew that we wanted to run the ball. We was a running team, and now, but I can promise you, they coming to the games now. They know they got to be able to do both. They got to be able to stop the run passing game. Also, that run field is going to be dynamic with our two-headed monster in the backfield. So, um, right off the bat, that's where Kirk Cousins bring. He bring the stability and the legitimacy to the position, and uh, you gotta love it, man. The Atlanta Falcons rated one of the best improved passing attacks, in the league this year. Guess what? They ain't played a game yet, right? It's because of Kirk Cousins, right? Kyle Pitts was here last year. Drake London was here last year, right? Drake Mooney had a down year last year, but Kirk Cousins coming in and just having him in um, on the team, bring that legitimacy and that stability to the team. Just simple as that. His experience that he's going to have on these young players is going to help those guys, right? You know, this is where this defense is going to be lined up. This is where you could going to be open at. This is where you need to sit it down right here. If you do that, I'm going to look this safety off and I'm going to hit you right here. He's going to explain that, telling them why he's going there, right? Um, Guys understanding what their other teammates doing. Um, this route is not going to you, but I still need you to take this safety out of the play so I can come underneath, to get the ball to Kyle or to Drake, right? If they telling somebody like Darnell Mooney. Um, that experience that he brings is going to be invaluable, and these young guys is going to soak all that up. So that's the other impact that he's going to bring to this team. Um, he already understands the offense. He talked about his some plays, and of course, no offenses are exactly the same, right? Not coming in with the same terminologies. Everybody put their own little spin on it, but it's still coming from that tree, McVay tree, Kyle Shanahan tree, whatever you want to call it. And but so he understands the offense already, so he can help mold the weekly game plans, right? He can help our new offensive coordinator Zach Robinson mold that weekly game plan that's out there, and he can kind of dictate how we can beat a team from week in and week out, right? Understand defenses, understand where how the offense should be played, right? Um, just can't bring back that like I said, knowing the offense. Interesting thing about the NFC South um in itself is that Kirk Cousins might be the only quarterback that has the most experience in offense he's going to be running next season, right? Derek Carr is in a new offense, right? You got Baker Mayfield, definitely a new offense because he got a new offensive coordinator. Bryce Young, taking Baker Mayfield offensive coordinator to be his head coach. So those are all the different offenses that's going to be in the NFC South next year. And believe it or not, Kirk Cousins might be the guy that knows the offense the most, right? 12 seasons, and he pretty much been in the same offense, right? Different terminologies, things like that. But trust me, he knows where to go with the ball. And you got to be excited to see what he's going to be able to do to get our playmakers the ball down the field. Wallace says, I think Kirk is going to have a big impact for us and on and off the field. Exactly. Listen to him in his interviews, right? And one thing that I heard where I don't know if you guys seen it. It was on the I think with Taylor Lewan, his podcast that he does. He talked about he planned on playing a lot of years, right? And that's interesting thing because even though the Atlanta Falcons drafted Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins is not just going to ride off in the sunset and be like, okay, I'm playing for 2 years, and that's it, right? So basically, what I'm saying is he planned on he plans to play well. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. He plans to play well, and if he does, guys, we got to like that, right? We want to see success with this team. So if Kirk Cousins come out and and that motivation of them drafting a Michael Penix makes him come out and do a 13-4 like Aaron Rodgers did back-to-back seasons, win the league MVP, right? That's only work. It benefits the Atlanta Falcons in a whole, and entirely, right? And he can hold off the young stud Michael Penix because he's playing so well. That benefits us as a team, right? Yes, it makes so many conversations start up. In a couple of seasons here, Kirk Cousins still playing at a high level, right? The Atlanta Falcons still have Michael Penix for another 3 years, but those decisions that the Atlanta Falcons will have to start to consider because Kirk Cousins is playing so well. So, and if he does play that well, hey guys, who are we to say that we upset about that? So I'm not going to sit here and be like torn because Kirk Cousins is taking us to the playoff every year and we're making a deep playoff run. So if that happens, you know, he just had to sit back. Michael Penix had to sit back and wait. And the last point I want to make about Kirk Cousins is the fact that he's going to be good for Michael Penix, even though it's going to probably suck. Sitting behind a guy like Kirk Cousins that we hope is playing really well. The thing that we really hope to see from Michael Penix is to learn from him because Kirk Cousins is going to be a total professional. We've seen it. If you go look at the quarterback series he did on Netflix, we see the kind of person he is as a man, kind of person he is as a quarterback. I think a lot of people actually got a little more respect watching Kirk Cousins in that series, right? And a lot of people got a little bit more respect for him. And they was like, man, he's a baller, right? So I know I did just watching it. Never thought he was going to be a Atlanta Falcons quarterback when I was watching it, but now just watching him play and then just going back and look at his career and entirely, he actually has had a pretty good career, and I think that overall the impact that he's going to bring to the Atlanta Falcons team this season, with pieces already here, you just needed that quarterback. I know we keep saying that, but I really believe that he's going to bring a lot for us this season. So guys, let's get into my last topic today, and it's all about the free agents, what's left, right? Now Atlanta Falcons do have one more spot left. I know people thinking we got 90, but we got 89. And I have to keep, reminding you guys that the international player we brought in does not count towards the 90-man roster. So um that's where the free agents come in. They want to bring another free agents in, right? But interesting thing, I just feel like the Atlanta Falcons coaching staff kind of like what they got, in house at certain spots that we all thought that we could probably use an upgrade at. So, but when you just look at the moves they have made this offseason, trying to keep the books clean, right? Have not restructured a lot of contracts and moved everything, over to the right, trying to win now. They still trying to win, but they still trying to do it in a conservative way, which to me speaks a lot about what the Atlanta Falcons organization is trying to build for the long term, right? It kind of sucks, because we want them to go all in and put all the chips in the middle for 1 year. But if you look at what they're trying to build from a sustainment standpoint, it makes sense. So they don't want to restructure a whole bunch of deals, and go out. You look at teams like the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams did that, right? They went and got out Von Miller. They went and got Jalen Ramsey. They went and got Matthew Stafford, right? They went all in and it paid dividends, right? And believe it or not, a couple of years later, they was ready to retool, right? And they went to the playoffs last season. So the formula really worked for them doing it that way, right? But over the long term, trying to be a team that's sustained. You want to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. You want to be the Baltimore Ravens, team that's constantly in the playoffs every year, right? Because remember, if you don't get in the playoffs, you don't even have the opportunity to play for the Super Bowl. So that's what they're trying to build here. They didn't move it all in. So when it comes to these free agents that the Atlanta Falcons um, could bring in, right? We need to look at it. So we talk about the cornerbacks, we talk about the safeties, right? We talk about the pass rush, right? Even talk about defense, more defense alignment. You talk about even some offense alignments, right? Maybe some potential wide receivers they can bring in to help build some things up. So all of those things that when you think about um, from a free agent standpoint, some potential free agents. So just start with wide receivers. Michael Thomas still out there, Hunter Renfrow, Miko Harbin, Corey Davis, Julio still out there, Russell Gage still out there, Randall Cobb, Sterling Shepard, um, Martavius Bryant. All those guys are still out there for them to bring in from a receiver standpoint. So if they want to do that, they definitely could. So right? So just think about that from receiver standpoint. I said if they want to bring in offensive linemen, we know our offensive linemen, really stout right now, but they want to bring in a David Bakhtiari from the Green Bay Packers. Guy couldn't really stay healthy. Donovan Smith, Riley Reef is out there. Some guys that definitely somebody you could consider that they could think about bringing in, right? So that's one thing you can look at from the offensive line standpoint. Um, Pass rush, right? We know we need pass rush. We don't know how well we think we need the pass rush, but we know we need pass rush, right? So we look at that. You look at Emmanuel Akbar, Unique Ngakwe, Carl Lawson, Jerry Hughes, um, Marcus Golden, Shaq Lawson, all these guys they could bring in, right? We don't know if they pull the trigger on one of these guys, but we don't know what these guys are looking for. But it's definitely something that the Atlanta Falcons can definitely consider because it is some proven guys out there. Unique Ngakwe is a guy that constantly have at least 8 sacks a year in, year out. So a guy like that, Carl Lawson, who a lot of people thought was guy, but after his injury, haven't lived up to that anymore. So some guys, if they want to think about bringing some guys in, we just have to look and see if they're going to be able to do that from the pass rush standpoint. Of course, defense alignment, Only guy on this list that I would even really consider is that's Calais Campbell, bringing him back. So we just don't know how that's going to turn out with a guy like Calais, but it was a rumor out that he could go to the Philadelphia Eagles or something like that. We don't know the interest between either party with Calais. We don't know the interest with with um with the Atlanta Falcons with Calais. So we just have to see and find out if those guys can somehow reunite here somehow. So that's what we can really think of. Um, the cornerback position. Still don't know who's going to be our number two corner. We've seen all the moves that they have made, you know, over the years, from that standpoint. But you got Xavier Howard, Dory Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, Steven Nelson, the guy who really played really well um, last year for the Houston Texans. You got Patrick Peterson, J.C. Jackson, Akilo Witherspoon, who actually played with Raheem Morris last year. Eli Apple, Fabian Monroe, the name that we know that name, right? He was on the Falcons a couple years ago. But you got free agent cornerbacks that's out there could definitely come out and help. So those are some of the things that we can kind of think of when you think about the cornerback position. And then last but not least, our safeties, right? Our safeties that we got. Of course, it's a lot of safeties out there, guys. And with this many safeties, I think the Falcons can get a bargain with some of these guys. You got Michael Hyde out here. You got Marcus May. You got Justin Simmons. You got A.B. Jackson. You got Jamal Adams, Tayshaun Gibson, Kareem Jackson. Um, it's a lot of Adrian Amos. You have a lot of um, safeties out there that Atlanta Falcons could definitely really consider to bring in. So I'm not really understanding, you know, you got to believe they like who they have on their squad. That's the only thing that when I think about it, you have to believe that we really like who we got in our squad. That's really what it boils down to, and that's the only reason why you would think they would not bring in a free agent. At this point, we're gonna trust the process and see what happens. It's a lot of guys out there that they definitely could consider, but one of the things that we know for a fact that the um, the Atlanta Falcons obviously like where they're at right now because with the number of free agents out there, it would be easy to move money around and things like that to go pull guys off the board. But for some reason, they have not decided to do that. So guys, that's our free agents there. I'm gonna go through some of these comments and you guys let me know what you think about that. So Wallace says I like Kirk, said that he can only control what he can control. As long as he's playing good football, he's going to be a starter with Penix. And now it's probably gonna make him play even better. 100%, man. That's really what I when I talk about is the fact that you know it's little competition is healthy, right? Because you got to play well, right? You can't just go stink up the joint and don't take it serious. Not saying that he was going to do that anyway, but pro come out there, you got a little competition back there, a young stud that can throw the rock. So you gotta like that. So great point by you, Wallace. Also says you think coaching staff can really get this draft class firing on day one. I don't know. Well, we're definitely going to find out. Um, you just got to go off what you seen Raheem was able to do last year with the young team he had. He had a really good young team last year that was really able to do good things. So maybe he could that would translate to the Falcons. We just have to see. So um, I think they're going to be an impact, but I don't know if they're going to be an impact on day one. That's got to be the question you ask yourself on that. So Darmouth says off subject yet. Do you have any concerns for the bandwagon that's sure to come? Yeah, you know it's coming, man. You know it's coming, and it's kind of sad to look at it. But I will welcome the bandwagon, and for one reason I will welcome the bandwagon is because um, the mere fact that the mere fact that
we're gonna be playing well. So if we get bandwagon fans, I'm not gonna be too upset about it because that means we actually playing good football. So that's what I'm thinking about it when I look at it. So that's my whole thing. So if we get bandwagoners, that means the Falcons playing good, and we can ignore them. Like, yeah, nah, don't come over here now. Don't come over here now. Right? We can be like that, but at the same time, we're gonna be smiling. So I'm good with it. So bring on the bandwagons. I think we're good with the group of outside linebackers that we have on this roster. Yeah, I mean, I hope so, man. But a lot of people go for the names, and I will say this: it don't hurt to bring in, guys that's proven too. So I'm going to say that it does not hurt to bring in guys that are really proven. So, um, but you got to get young guys a ton. You got to be able to develop. I'm not going to sit here and not deny that as well. Mm, I think King might win cornerback two spot because he's a big cornerback that Gray likes to play outside. I mean, it depends on how healthy he is. That's really the point. That really what it boils down to. How it really boils down to how healthy he's going to be. 2 seasons. So if he can come back to semi-foreign, it's a good point because Gary Gray knows him. That's probably the reason he's on the squad, and he know he has the potential. But you got to stay healthy, man. The best ability is availability. So that's one thing about King. But great point about King. He does have the potential, but we don't know how good he's going to be. Um, what's going on, Atlanta Falcons pandemic? That true about the fan base, 100%, 100%, man, 100%. But when I look at free agents, man, like bringing in guys that can help compete, in positions is always a good thing, right? I don't like guys to get comfortable and think that their position is already solidified. I don't have to work hard and things like that. And you know, just looking at the depth at the defensive line spot. I mean, it's some guys on the defensive line, their spot's not guaranteed, right? You got a guy like Eddie Goldman coming back from retirement for the third time, who's is been a dominant player in this league. Has not played a while, but his spot is not even guaranteed on this team, right? Veteran like Eddie Goldman, who played a lot of good football, right? He's gonna have to go out and prove that he still can play. Um, bringing a guy like Contavious Street back, Taquan Graham. We just talked about in the draft class, right? Taquan Graham needs to show that he still, have a spot on this team. Um, so it's the competition is good. You know, good thing about it, a lot of these guys will have opportunity to prove themselves. Training camp, um, that's where you really make it at. Preseason games have been so watered down now. Even though we did see a couple of guys make a name for themselves in preseason. Look at a guy like DeMarco Helms. Really made a name for himself in preseason last year. Um, so sometimes you could preseason games can actually be that one deciding factor to get your spot. Fortunately, you know, adding more games to this league, eventually preseason games probably gonna end up going away, believe it or not, guys. So these guys gonna really have to be able to show what they're able to do in practice, right? Their film that they put on in college gonna be huge. What they able to do, um, at training camp, it's going to start to have to pay some dividends for these guys because more football games that they add in the regular season, it's going to reduce the number of preseason games, right? And we already know the reason why because a lot of the guys that they play in the preseason don't even make the squad anyway, right? So it's not fan friendly, per se for the NFL with the bottom line. So that's why eventually they're going to put more regular season games out there. And then if they do that, they might say we won't cut to a certain point, in the regular season. I don't know, but we'll have to see how it's going to pan out for these guys. But I mean, preseason games are important. You look at a guy like Shannon Sharp, who's a Hall of Famer. His story is real chronicle. He made the team because of something he did in preseason, like going down full speed and making a tackle on, special teams. So, that's how it is. So preseason important, but all these guys definitely gonna be able to prove themselves. Wallace says, but I know they're going to keep bringing in the best players to make the big. Oh yeah, they. That's one thing about we can say about Terry Fontenot. He continues to mix bringing this roster in. Now they 89 right now, but these 89 that they have on the roster now is no guarantee that these guys is going to be on the team starting training camp. It's just no guarantee, right? That's why I went off these names with these free agents guys, because believe it or not, they might decide that they want to bring one of the guys. We don't know. They could be talking to some of these guys right now, right? A lot of these guys are smart, right? Because they're not with a team right now, right? And they don't want to go through the OTAs and things like that, right? They want to wait and get later on in the off season because they veterans, right? They know how to keep themselves in shape, and then they'll pick a team later on. So that's what a lot of these guys could be waiting on. So we got to do understand that as well. So that's one of the things that definitely that a lot of these guys could be doing, and they could be in conversations. One thing about Atlanta Falcons, nothing gets out, right? We still waiting on AJ Terrell contract. Just like last year, Chris Lyncham got a contract. We didn't even know they were working on it until it happened, right? So, I mean, that one thing about this organization, they kind of keeps everything's on the wrap. Kamara says, which game you most looking forward to see regular season? Mine is week 2. Mine is week 3 because I never seen Patty Mahomes play, so I'm excited to see that, man. I can't wait. Sunday Night Football, be in the stadium. I'm waiting to see Patrick Mahomes play. So that's just my I can't wait to see what he's able to do. So that's where I'm at with it. That's for me. That's what I'm waiting to see, Patrick Mahomes. And then Wallace says, we're very deep at D line. How many do you think we keep on the roster? 5 or 6 D linemen. I don't know, man. Like, all right, and so this the question when you talk about D line, right? Are we counting the outside linebackers? No, right? So we just talk about D line, right? So we're gonna go with we brought in 3 defensive linemen ourselves, right? For draft, right? We brought in 3. Then you got David and you got Grady. So that's 5 right there, right? But then you signed Kentavious Street, you got Taquan Graham, you got Eddie Goldman. So you asking me 5 or 6. I actually had 8. That's a lot. I know it's a lot, but I got 8 linemen they're keeping. And then I got, the 4 outside linebackers. The 5 outside linebackers. So I have to do the 53-man roster. I don't even know if we got enough space for that many, but that's where we're at, right? That's exactly where we're at. All right. They probably going to do AJ contract until off season the next year before free agency starts. Nah, you're right. They could, but I think they're going to do it this year. And the only reason I say that because if you're trying to line up your contracts, Kyle Pitts contracts, he's 5th-year options next year. So if he balls out this year, you don't want to have to give 2 contracts out in 1 year. That's the reason I say that. So I'm just guessing, but you could be right. They could wait the next year. But Raheem Morris keeps talking about, he like AJ Terrell. I just think they're gonna end up getting something done before the start of the season. And if they don't, you're right. They got all the entire season to hammer something out with him. So we'll just have to see. But right now, he's clearly cornerback 1, and we got to be able to try to keep him with the team because we don't have nobody else right now. So I just believe that he might hold all the cards because of that as well, being that guy. So. Because of that, what they did with Lindstrom, Well, great point. I mean, that's a great point too. What they was able to do with Christian Lindstrom. Um, so that's a great point. What they was able to do with Christian Lindstrom. I'm just trying to see how they're going to line up everybody, guys. Because you think about it, they got Kyle Pitts next year. Um, Drake London coming his fourth season, so they got to pick up his fifth year option. Right behind that, two more, another season. They got B. John Robinson. So if you're trying to line up your talent, your young stars, and being able to pay all those guys to keep on the squad, you want to be able to lay the contracts out right, and that's my thinking on that. Dante says, I think the high number of defensive players are to allow to evaluate new and old players to determine how they fit in the new system. Good point. Good point. Like for me though, like I said, when I try to do the 53-man roster projection, which is way too early, I just felt like they were so deep in certain spots. Um, so that's why it was hard for me to let somebody go because I liked all the guys that we brought in, right? So it just going to be difficult, man, because usually, they keep 25 defensive players, 25 offensive players, and then they have the three specialists, right? Um, if they do that, um, they're going to have to cut a lot of defensive players, man, that you want to see on this team. So that's why I say what I say. Is Pitt a full speed without any hitch? Yeah, man, go out. I don't know if you've seen that video that they put out today. There's a video that they put out today where Kirk Cousins hit Kyle Pitts on a dime down deep, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, like we ain't seen that a lot. Quarterbacks couldn't get in the ball, man. He was burnt so many people in his career, and he was not able to get the rock. That's just the honest truth, right? So just to see that on the highlight today was like, man, it, are we going to see some of that in this season? If we do, that's going to be really really great. So uh, I love it. I really love it. So Wallace says, because it makes sense if they do it that way, they free up workout space and not paying players early. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not, I don't, I'm not disagreeing how how they're going to do it. You know, Unfortunately, right now, they don't have two good guys in the same draft class because we talked about that, right? They kind of missing out on day two and day three picks right now. Their day one picks are looking good, but right now, day two and day three picks are not panning out. So, luckily they're not having to pay guys in the same draft class, at the same time, right? So, and guys that were drafted in the first round, we already know guys drafted in the first round, right? They get the fifth year option, so you get an extra year with those guys, right? Guys that drafted, day two or day three only have a 4-year contract, so they have to pay those guys early. So that's how it boils down sometimes. So yep. But guys, I'm gonna try to get out here before less than an hour today. Um, I really enjoyed you guys coming in, talking to me. I haven't talked to you guys in you know, about a week, almost a week. But I really wanted to come on. I wanted to talk about, of course, the training camp news. Only 2 practices. Make sure you guys try to show up. We come in force on the 27th at the high school, and then the other one on the 2nd of August um, in the Mercedes-Benz stadiums, right? Um, so those try to come out. We'll see what you got. Only 2 practices this year. It's going to. So it look like, guys, it's definitely going to be a mystery to see what this team is going to be all about because we're not going to get a lot of eyes on this team until you know they go to the preseason and stuff like that. So just can't wait to see. Just can't wait to see. Appreciate it, Wallace. Um, that's all I have, guys. Thank you guys for coming in today. Let's talk some Falcon football on Falcon Fan Talk Monday. Be back on Wednesday. don't know what the topic going to be yet. Hopefully we will have some news to talk about. Get ready. You know, they got, like I said, they got a couple more OTA practices. They got mandatory mini camp coming up, and then they go away for about like 4 weeks where they get ready for training camp, and then we get started for the season. So I know you guys are excited. I'm excited. All the hype is going on with this team right now. Just like Darnball said, we're going to have a lot of bandwagons. I'm welcoming all those guys because if we got bandwagons, that means the Atlanta Falcons are playing really good football. So, guys, that's all I have. Thank you for coming in today. Listen to your boy Ricundo coming back at you with another video. Peace.